things are getting crazy for crypto right now as we speak. And I know I can say that every day because every single day is crazy for crypto. But if you've been wondering what's going on with the Ethereum ETFs or the price or everything, I was actually supposed to release a video yesterday. I didn't though, because honestly, I think some substance was missing, but I've combined the video I was supposed to release yesterday with all the new information that was added today. Just take a look at the video all the way through because there's a lot that's going on. Ladies and gentlemen of crypto, today is yet again a day where nothing makes sense. I mean, if you've been looking at the crypto prices today, you know exactly what I mean. Because it's been like a battle of ping pong. If you don't know, let's see here. So today is the 9th. If we take a little bบof, okay, so it's the 9th, 3 a.m. though, because Japan time. If we take a look at the 8th, for example, earlier in the morning, we were at roughly $54,000. A little bit later, we were at 58 point something. A little bit later, we were at 54 point something. And right now, we're back at 56 point something. So this proves my point of earlier, which was if you just buy the dip, there's almost no way this can go wrong, unless you're kind of stupid, or because you've got a different strategy. And if that's the case, I'm your fan. That's completely fine. But the strategies I talk about on the channel are pretty damn solid. Anyway, let's give a little talk about what exactly has been going on. You guys all know the Germany Mt. Gox numbers, right? But did you also know that things are really starting to pick up for Ethereum here? So whilst everybody is making a big deal about these big funds, or I guess the government of the US, Germany, and Mt. Gox selling, we had a Celsius lawsuit, all this negative news. In the meantime, the ETF issuers have started to pick up the pace, with today, VanEck officially filing their S1 spot Ethereum ETF. And I think, just quickly double checked it. I thought that Eric Balchunas already said the first S1 just rolled in today from VanEck. They already had their fee, which was 20 base points. So nothing to see here, really. They just putting ball back in the SEC's court for them now to basically say yes or no or, something. Have to respond, expecting the rest today, except for Bitwise, who did theirs already last week. So basically, he's expecting more of the Ethereum ETF issuers to put up their new S1 filings today. And if you were not fully aware, these S1 filings are the, I'd say, most important and in theory last step to getting them listed everywhere, getting them going. Something was already approved a while back, right? It was an original step. We still need these S1 approvals before they can really start trading. And we all know it's kind of inevitable. I've just been looking through some predictions today. Most people are stating that, and I'm talking about the institutions that did let go of price, they all let go some pretty bullish price targets. And that is, again, another point. People have been too focused on the short term, have been too focused on the selling pressure, and are not realizing the bigger picture. And I understand why people are so zoomed in on all of this, because the headlines are heavy. Just a bit ago, for example, according to Arkham, the German government transferred a total of 500 Bitcoin again to Bitstamp and Coinbase, 250 Bitcoin each, worth around 30 mil. And if we take a look at the total numbers of like the last little bit, the German government transferred out 1,000 Bitcoin 50 minutes ago, which was 500 Bitcoin first. The German government only right now is holding, now this is 11 hours ago. Wait, give me a sec. Here we go. So 5,200, where's the number? I think there must be a number not too long ago. Here we go. So look on Chain shared, the German government transferred another 9.6 thousand Bitcoin, $551 million to Kraken, Flow Traders, Coinbase, Bitstamp, Cumberland, and the B2C2 group today. So that's in one day, it seems. The German government has transferred 24.3 thousand Bitcoin, 1.4 billion since June 19th, so in the last like 3 weeks, and it still holds roughly 30,000 Bitcoin. But I see a really positive note right there, which is, we're halfway there. Because regardless of what you think and whether or not it has any selling pressure at all, or if it's just a facade, eventually that FUD around it will be gone because their Bitcoin will be finished. If right now they've got 28,000 left, yes, it's a lot, but if you really start thinking about it, is 1.6 billion really that much? I mean, to have as one person, I could probably, I might be able to live out my life with a slight 1.6 billion, probably, maybe. But for the whole German government to have, and I sometimes wonder as well, if the German government, if we really let them go, right, will they stop dropping all these things on us? will they just not decide to hold at some point? Because in theory, it's also in their best interest, but perhaps they're just selling it and causing a big ruckus out of all of it to make people indeed afraid of Bitcoin and crypto. On the opposite side, the way they're doing it and them sending it to flow traders makes it seem to me that they're doing this in a very low price impact way. And I've thought about it because they want to also keep the majority of the funds from these sales. They don't want to sell for low. You know what would be funny? This is like if it's all one big psyop and they're selling it now because next month they're going to let go of a bill in Germany that nobody can sell Bitcoin anymore, or some stupid like that. Transactions of Bitcoin will be taxed at 98%, or that Bitcoin becomes a new asset class, and all of a sudden, every single person who holds it must declare it separately and pay a hefty fine, and pass a test of ignorance, I'm not too sure. But we've got an update on that because Germany hasn't really stopped overnight. They kept on going, and also, like I think I said earlier in the video, almost all the issuers have issued their new Ethereum ETF filings. I can pull up probably a whole list, but you get it. All of them have basically done it, so it's getting really, really close now. Anyway, so first of all, if we're talking about the German government, it's getting rather interesting here. Today, the German government sold 6.3 thousand Bitcoin, roughly $360 million, in the past 3 hours. Of this, 3,200 Bitcoin have been sent within the past 20 minutes. This is hours ago, though. Since yesterday, the German government received a lot of Bitcoin as well, back from the exchanges. Not exactly sure why. And as of this point, it seems they're still holding 1.3 billion. But I'd say the nicest part here is that it seems the market doesn't care about their sales anymore. I don't think they actually did before. They just gave you the idea that they did. But now I guess it's more than proven. Nobody cares about the German government dumping Bitcoin. You know why though? Perhaps it's like I've been saying for a while, because if we're really taking a look at the ETFs and how much they're accumulating, it kind of erases all the pressure from the German government, for example. And before it was kind of zero for BlackRock, for example, but yesterday I think it was up 200 mil, 300 mil that they were buying at, which basically negates all the negative pressure from these other institutions. Mt. Gox, all these different things. It doesn't really all matter as long as the big players come along, which for the last couple of days they haven't done, but apparently today they're back into business, or I should say yesterday. Probably today, again, they're back into business, but we shall see. And I just don't know why BlackRock has basically had zero inflows over the last few weeks. But like I said, they're back now. This is literally the first day that they're back. Just yesterday, officially for me 2 days ago because Japan time, but $190 million worth of inflows. Again, it's the first time in 3 weeks that they had something above 100 million. So this is perhaps where I guess the BlackRock related institutions are starting to accumulate Bitcoin at again. Maybe they didn't want to buy at 74,000. They wanted to wait for a little bit of a sale. And right now at 50 something thousand, 57,000 or so, they're happy to start getting back into it because they've seen the FUD come by. Perhaps they were also waiting to see how the market was going to react to the German government selling, Mt. Gox distributions, etc. And now they know it's fine, it's safe, and we didn't crash to zero. It's time to start pumping again. It's possible. Or it's also funny. They had some, this is something I'm thinking, right? Bear with me. They were waiting for the Ethereum S1 approvals and the news on that, and or at least the filings. And now that they were filed, and right now it's probably the last filing, they're like, oh, you see, it's not going to take many more months. Let's go hard now because Ethereum is going to get approved soon, and we want to have our foot in the door before that rages on into the entirety of the crypto market. Because it is quite peculiar, right? If any of you guys have a better explanation as to why all of a sudden they've started buying here again by huge amounts as well, it's interesting. I mean, yes, Fidelity had 117 mil also last week, the 5th of July, before any announcements were made, but this is an interesting one to come out on the 8th of July with, again, the first time nearing 300 million again in a very long time, at least the last 3 weeks or so. You can see here, June 20th, we actually had crazy outflows in total. But BlackRock has not been buying, or at least the BlackRock institutions, up until just yesterday. Why? Well, our senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, Eric Bokuna, said Bitcoin had 20% down, drawdown in a month flat. Pretty nasty. I would have been impressed if 90% of the assets under management hung in there, but it was over 100% as they saw inflows. The boomers hung tough. Oh, there we go. Even tougher than I predicted, and kept the all-imp year-to-date net number at plus 15 billion. Hanging tough during drawdowns is as more or more imp than inflows during rallies for long-term net assets? Just ask Vanguard. Little side note, if you wanted more of the S1 filers, Fidelity, VanEck, Franklin, Templeton, 21 Shares, Grayscale, BlackRock, they've all filed their new S1 applications for the Ethereum ETF. And actually, interestingly enough, we also had over in Australia, the Australian largest stock exchange approved their second Bitcoin spot ETF. And I guess more into the news, because why not? Now that we're busy with it anyway. The Fed Chair Powell says data does not support the greater confidence in inflation path that the Federal Reserve needs to cut rates. Usually those type of announcements also make the market shake a little bit, but obviously it's like the summer break, and so it's not as busy when it comes to the Fed announcements and publications, but it's rather interesting still. Anyway, here is one more post every single person's got to see. We've posted it many times on the channel. The guys over at Altcoin Daily shared it today. You may not like it, but this is exactly how crypto works. What does it showcase? Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, then large caps, and then altcoin season. You can rap about it as long as you want, but ultimately, we've always followed this cycle, and I don't think this time around is going to change. Maybe in the next many years it will change. But for right now, if you just listen to the theory, I'm not your financial advisor, but I think it makes sense, and we look back, we realize, okay, 70 weeks of accumulation, 70 weeks of crazy pump, 50 weeks of correction. If we follow that thesis and we just hold on dearly, the worst case is 30, 40, 70% down, but mostly just up from there. And I'm talking about hundreds of percent up from there. If you just have the courage to buy down lower, you'll be fine. And later on, as the phases go on, you go for Ethereum, which is almost now. Then afterwards, you go for the large caps, which is again afterwards. And then after that, you go for, there we go, you go for altcoin season, which is just everything that's loose and ready, whatever, to grab. And that means at that point, it's degen mode. And that means you got to go to bed putting $1,000 into something you just saw a glimpse of somewhere, hoping it's going to be 40,000 the next day. Could be zero. Will be zero sometimes. Will definitely be zero most times. But sometimes it could just be 1.8 million. And again, I'm talking out of experience here, that sometimes you just wake up and you're like, damn. Oh, and by the way, if you wait too long, it's back to zero. So you got to be quick in that. You don't want to be a person that goes from nothing to everything, back down to nothing. Like a lot of people had now with this meme coin season, and even many of my memes, guys. Sometimes, and this people don't realize, they can be worth multi-millions of dollars, and they go right back to being worth $1,000. You're thinking, oh, if it can go to $1 million, it might be able to go to 10 million. And this ignorant thinking is, at the end of the day, what got you to your million, probably. Because many people, when they put 1,000 into memes and it doubles, they're like, oh, I made $1,000. Let me sell that real quick. And there again comes another point of how well are you able to manage your emotions and what is your risk profile? Some people are like, I got $1,000. I got to take this to $1 million. I don't want nothing less than that. So they're not going to sell for anything less than a great number. Some others are really happy with just $70 in gains. Everybody's different. The point being, though, that today was yet again another field day for cryptocurrencies and for all the traders out there, because they're literally liquidating people left and right. Because kind of funny, we didn't have a record day, but we had a pretty crazy day in terms of short liquidations. If we look at about 3 a.m. last night, we were at what? 54.2 right now. So 24 hours later, we are up roughly 4% at 56.4. In the midst from that bottom, we went up like 7.5%. A lot of longs, in this case though, way more in the shorts, but the last couple of days in terms of trading volume, but mostly just wreckage, has been kind of crazy. You know what's also funny? That meme coins have been suffering so greatly. You can't perfectly see it, there you go. But many meme coins that everybody knows and love, they're down a lot. I've been looking through the meme ecosystem, and it's not thriving for the last couple of days here, which is quite peculiar because for the most part here, throughout this little bear run that we had, it actually did survive pretty well, and there's some actually doing good now that I look through here. There's a couple of ones that are still definitely in a pretty okay spot. But just at the top 100, for example, the two worst ones are memes. And I should say one more thing. There have been a lot of people posting up that everybody should be afraid of unlocks happening. Now, I don't think there's any in this little list of ours here that are really interesting to watch for. Perhaps they've already happened. I saw it on Twitter, though. Here's one post about it. For example, XAI, Aptos, IMX, and Athena. that are all unlocking this week. I was looking at just tomorrow, but there's a lot happening this week. And again, unlocks are bad because it means more tokens are coming to the market. Very often they do pair it with good news though. So sometimes this can be a really, really good opportunity to buy just before the unlock, based purely on the speculation that they're going to announce something. That's what people have done for Celestia for a long while, and it has worked out. But very often you'll get wrecked. So I can't recommend, just saying something that people do.